Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think everybody can hear me now. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Once again, this is D Darrell with the Manosphere. Again, guys, I apologize for the lack of sound. We're going to have a good one today. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a fire show. I'm going to show some receipts to why I decided to create this video. Again, this is the Manosphere. This is an alternative to the Manosphere. This is a sector or a side of the Manosphere sector in which they are reasonable, intelligent thinking men and women. This is a co-ed sector. This is a co-ed branch of this space in which fatherhood is reinforced, Black women intelligence is respected and honored, stepfatherhood is respected, reasonable interaction, it doesn't have to be conflictual, reasonable minded, adult minded people. This is a space where everybody has a right to express their opinion in an effective manner, and we don't always have to agree, and we don't have to always disagree, or we can agree to disagree. Again, this is the manosphere. This is an alternative to what you may hear, and I decided to come up with that slogan because of the fact of I am not happy with the ineptitude of people who necessarily adhere to red pill ideology. Saying it's low and echoing. Okay, she said I'm good now. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, all right, cool. So before I get started on what I want to talk about, I want to let you all know my interaction with Miss Cojamilk. Now, I have known Cojamilk or had direct communication with Koja for at least 2 years now. Every damn time that Cojamilk came on my channel, or she came on BMT channel, or Faith channel, and others, I've seen her on Bomb Cherry's channel. I've seen her on Rollo channel. I have seen this lady on every goddamn channel that I have been on and participated in. This lady take it upon herself to argue and fight and fuss and yell and scream and plead the case of this and that and why you're wrong. And I don't understand, lady, why are you getting off with wanting to have dysfunctional interaction with Black men? Because Black men don't want to have a dysfunctional interaction with you. I don't. I don't find it entertaining or enjoyable that every time I speak or say something, you're looking up things and fact checking to think that you can out debate me or you're going to prove me wrong. Now, I'm going to show you all to give to everybody that watched show Faith channel about 2 days ago when her and BMT had an issue in which she referenced some bullshit that happened over a year ago in regards to Brother Polite, Brother Polite's girlfriend, and her daughter. Now, I want you all to keep in mind, you see, in this space, I find it that people who are professional don't get respected. People who ain't never worked a day in life of their life, nor have the training or expertise, think that they can read articles, they can look up stuff, they can have family members tell them stuff. And that's supposed to override me, a person that actually is getting paid for doing this. And I've been doing this for over 16 years. I have handled at least I have handled thousands of CPS cases over the last 16 years. And I'm saying at least 2 or 3,000. I would say about 20% of my CPS cases involve some level of sexual assault, sexual abuse, child molestation by the mother or the father. I have been involved in cases in which the mother allowed the boyfriend to molest or put the children in positions to be molested and they lost their children. Just want to give you all a basis of why I gave my professional opinion of some of what was given in the information, and the fact that I preface the fact that we don't know all the information and I'm only speculating based on what I know. But no, Miss Cojamilk take it upon myself. I know I'm in Florida. I got this and I got this, and you're wrong and you give it wrong. No, no, Koja, you want to have a ineffective interaction with black men. You want to be conflictual. You want to argue, debate, and yell and scream. I'm not your ex-husband, and nor am I going to take the burden of your ex-husband. You work that shit out with him, or you get some therapy to work that shit out. But I am not going to take your verbal fucking abuse because you got shit that you haven't worked out and you feel like you can come into a space and take it out on other people. You see, that's called displacement. That's a defense mechanism in which people are unable to communicate and confront those that have caused problems to them. So they take it out on other people who are easy accessible to do so. And just like Faith had said the other day, why are you trying to go at soft targets? Me and BMT and others are not into red pill bullshit. We consistently support black women in these sectors. We don't demonize anybody. We are married fucking men. I have been married for over 17 years. BMT has been married for a long time. That is not indicative of the men in this sector. So why the hell are you fucking with me? I am not your problem. But it appears to me you cannot and you're unable to differentiate between the two. And I'm gonna just be honest with you. Me and you have had knockdown drag outs. I barred you from coming on my panels on this channel about maybe 7, 8 months ago when you was into that TMHC bullshit. And then you carry your crazy looking ass to the Umar sector under the disguise of SC Johnson, talking bullshit when there's certain people in that sector that don't like me. You take your ass up there and get on panels and in the chat trolling, saying dumb shit about me to the other sector. I am sick and tired of you, and you're getting on my fucking nerves. And your ass is too fucking old for this. You fucking playing around with people that don't want to deal with you. The shit is not entertaining to be fucking around with you and you listening to me talking and you picking up something. Oh, well, you said this, but it said that, and you were wrong for this, and it meant that. I don't have time for that. I know what the fuck that I'm talking about. I've been doing it professionally for years. I've worked in this system in the child protective services sector for years, and I understand how investigations go. I understand when it's time for me to interact and to do my part as a therapist, which is not necessarily confined to several months down the line, like your dumbass talked about on Fake Channel the other day. It is not contingent upon the investigation. It is contingent upon the mental stability of the victim and the perpetrators and those that were involved in why the CPS case started in the first place. It has nothing to do with how long the investigation started. If they deem a person mentally unfit or having mental issues and they need services, they are going to request those services, whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. Yes, and in the investigation, they determine that. But if there's a crisis situation or there's ongoing services that need to be had, they will recommend and refer you to receive those services. You don't understand the nuances. You don't understand all of the interactive things that go on, but particularly in those meetings, but when those decisions are being made by the program directors and staff. But you act like you know every motherfucking thing, and you don't know shit. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to show you all. I'm going to show you. This is going to give you just a background on what she was talking about. And to keep in mind, guys, I literally forgot about this shit. This shit happened over a fucking year ago. And this motherfucking woman holding this shit to heart. And this shit happened over, and I'm going to repeat, this shit happened over a fucking year ago. I literally almost forgot about this shit. You can see right here. Let's see the date. But it's not showing the time on here, but this shit happened 8 months ago. Almost a fucking year ago. And here she go bringing up some shit, bringing up old issues, bringing up her hangups and bringing up issues that she has with BMT and me and how I'm always wrong. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this. Listen, as professionals, I'm not always right, but I tell you what, I'm not always right, but I'm very seldomly wrong. And when it comes to things like this with CPS, I've been doing government contracting as a subcontractor since '06. Then when I had started my own business in 2010, I was doing it specifically for my own business where I was working directly not only with CPS but also APS, Adult Protective Services, and other government agencies. So I know what the hell I'm talking about. I understand all of the integral parts of what causes the case to happen long term and when I come into play. But this woman act like she had all the fucking answers. And she didn't know shit. She's never worked directly with these people. She's never participated in meetings. She's never went to fucking court like I have, sitting 4 and 5 fucking hours in court, testifying for 45 to 50, 45 minutes to maybe 2 hours like I have. But you want to sit and tell me what I should be saying and what I should not be saying and how wrong you think I am based on your limited expertise. Well, no expertise, but limited information and what someone in your family told you. And then the fact of the matter, you admitted to the fact that you had a CPS case. So what the fuck were you doing? And just because you had one CPS case doesn't make you a motherfucking expert, because all CPS cases, although there's policies and procedures, they're not all processed the same. What's up, Buster Free Jones? She said she loved to yap her mouth. Yes, she does. All the time. And she loves to speak over people. And she wants to be heard because she feels powerless in real life. This is the only sense of power that she gets on YouTube. So therefore, she wants to scream, holler, yell at people. And she feels that she gets some type of admiration by proving black men to be wrong. It's sick. And you coming on YouTube to act like this is not solving any of your real problems in real life. No matter how much you yell at me, BMT, or anybody else, you're still going back to your pathetic life when you turn the camera off, when you turn the YouTube channels off. That's a fact. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you all what she was referencing that happened over 8 months ago. Okay? You all are going to be let me kind of get to see right here. To me, I never thought that I would have to have this discussion because the shit happened so long ago. But since she wanted to rehash shit, let's do it.
Giving our idea or opinions about it. But, you know, let's let each other talk and let's not turn this into a war or gender war or anything like that. Let's kind of like hear each other out. You know, let's hear each other out. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
I agree with that. But my problem was when I started having a problem with some of the other things that was being said that wasn't related to that. I agree. But when we start gender warring this here, that's
now how the hell is she gonna talk about gender war when she's all about gender warring? See, this speaks to the duplicitous nature of this woman. Everything that she does speaks of gender war. In faith, y'all know I'm not about no goddamn gender war. I'm not about no red pill bullshit. I'm not about no divesting bullshit, no pink, all of that shit is not applicable to real fucking life. And if you go into people talking this red pill, blue pill bullshit, they're gonna look at you like you fucking crazy. That's the or pink pill shit. They're gonna look at you like you stupid. Because in the real normal aggregate, people do not give a damn about this shit on YouTube. It's confined to a select amount of people that are in this community. Facts.
You know, it's crazy. I've literally talked about everything under the sun.
Now this is me at the bottom.
I don't do y'all stupid ass gender shit. I don't even want to fuck with y'all gender war shit. I don't want to go on panels with y'all gender war motherfuckers. I don't want to fuck with y'all. I don't want to have any existence with y'all, and I don't want to ever rock with y'all gender war. Gender war shit.
Now BMT is basically saying I don't want to deal with the gender war shit. But see, this is the problem that we had with TMACs and people like fucking Cojamilk who is a fucking wannabe TMAC and others. That is not our purpose on YouTube. I don't get any kicks out of arguing and arguing with people, or particularly women, because I love black women. I'm married to one. I have black colleagues that are women, and most of the women that work for most of the people that work for my company are black women. So you motherfuckers can't tell me nothing about no black female empowerment if you ain't cutting checks. Over 50% of my motherfucking workforce are black women, and I pay them quite well. So don't tell me no shit about what I should be doing when I'm giving black women jobs. So if you giving black women jobs, you cutting checks for scholarships and shit like I have done, you can't tell me shit about what I should and should not be doing. But let me continue.
Don't fuck with DMT no more. Yeah. I want y'all to get this straight. By not Nixon. I'm really getting tired of the space of gender that shit to my pen.
That could occur based on the fact on the
that shit to my pen.
Well, listen, I'm about to be on.
Now I'm getting ready to speak right now, and I'm going to give my perception of the case.
I'm about to be out. I got to pick up my little man from daycare. I just want to say this, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's a happy Friday. We all woke up, so thank God for that. Listen, as I leave the panel, you know, guys, have the conversation. Let everybody get a chance to talk and just respect each other as people. You know what I'm saying? And have a great conversation.
What's up, BMT?
What's up, Darrell?
What's on, fellas? So I wanted to comment a little bit on the situation as it relates to the young lady that was, you know, basically sexually assaulted or raped or whatever, the 14-year-old little girl. And as far as what kind of outcome that could occur based on the fact that she was out with an adult male and whatever decisions were made, I'm not clear on all that. I know I'm hearing out of discussion. Now, notice, guys, I've already prefaced the fact that I did not come there to talk about the process of a CPS case. I was not there to talk about permanency court, family court. I was there to talk about the victim of what she went through, the mother, the situation, and the perpetrator, which was in my lane of expertise, not the bullshit that Ms. S.C. Johnson, Cojamilk was talking about when she claimed she had a need to correct me. But let me continue.
But I wanted to speak from a point of view as far as her in the being in the custody of her mother long term and what can happen with that and so forth. I'm gonna let you all know based on me I've been doing this type of work with situations. I've actually encountered situations like this where many occasions where I've seen countless situations, and I'm not just talking about from females allowing their boyfriends or whomever to bringing and exposing your children to people that you don't really know, or even if you do know, that can be a negative consequence. And also in a situation in which there are men who brought women into the lives of their children, and similar things have occurred. And once that police report was filed, pretty much in most states, from what I know, and I've done some things in Florida and some other southern states, they're going to contact whatever child protective agency there is, and they are going to supervise and they're going to do an investigation on.
These are all facts. This is standard in any situation where children are deemed at risk of being at harm. I don't give a damn what state you're in. If there's a criminal situation going on, particularly a child being victimized, CPS will be called. The police themselves, even in their investigation, they're going to contact Child Protective Service or whatever child protective agency that for that state.
On the family, they're going to do an investigation. If they're from there or not, whatever, there will be a CPS, child protective, whatever type of governing body that state has. They're going to do and they're going to do a minimum of a 30-day investigation on the parenting skills of the mother. They're gonna interview people. They're gonna review how they're functioning. They're gonna look at this child as far as her behavior at school. They're gonna probably make her do an evaluation. They're gonna probably make her mother do a psychological evaluation. And to be honest with you, based on the fact that they found semen and so forth, it's a likelihood that they probably are going to take that child out the home, or if the mother has other children, they may take all the children out. Like again, I'm just looking at it.
Hold on, guys. Damn it, I don't know what happened. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. It just.
And you.
Let's hear each other out. You know what I'm saying? Is that contribution to this conversation? You know, we're still learning off and stuff like that. So sometimes we gotta
BMT. Any y'all on that gender war shit? I don't
contribute.
I apologize, guys.
Fuck with y'all gender war shit. I don't want to go on panels with y'all gender war motherfuckers. I don't want to. I don't want no gender children and all of it. I talk about everybody. I am. What's up, BMT?
What's up, Darrell?
What's good? What's on, fellas? To bringing and exposing your children to people that you don't really know, or even if you do know, that can be a negative consequence. And also in a situation in which there are men who brought women into the lives of their children, and similar things have occurred. And once that police report was filed,
pretty much in most states, from what I know, and I've done some things in Florida and some other southern states, they're going to contact whatever child protective agency there is, and they are going to supervise and do they're going to do an investigation on the family. They're going to do an investigation if they're from there or not, whatever. There will be a CPS, child protective, whatever type of governing body that state has. They're going to do and they're going to do a minimum of a 30-day investigation on the parenting skills of the mother. They're gonna interview people. They're gonna review how they're functioning. They're gonna look at this child as far as her behavior at school. They're gonna probably make her do an evaluation. They're gonna probably make her mother do a psychological evaluation. And to be honest with you, based on the fact that they found semen and so forth, it's a likelihood that they probably are going to take that child out the home, or if the mother has other children, they may take all the children out. Like, again, I'm just looking at it from the perspective I am. I don't know. Now, this is the aspect of my analysis that Koja had an issue with. Now, keep in mind, guys, I am making this assessment based on what I have seen in similar situations, particularly if they found out a child was molested or raped. They are going to take the child out of the home or out of the custody of the parent. It all depends on the program director or whoever makes those decisions. Every case is not the same. Just because one case they may decide not to take the child out doesn't mean another one they're going to do the same. All cases are not treated the same. Even in similar circumstances, there is no one size fits all scenario. If some program directors, some are more, conservative about these things than others. In this situation, I personally thought, because the mother allowed her child to be in the care of this non-custodial parent, or he's not even a non-custodial parent, just a guy she's dating. She's not even married to him. She allowed this man to have this kind of freedom with her child. That child was put at risk due to the lack of parental supervision and foresight of her mother, and the fact that this guy is a perpetrator. Okay? That's my perspective. I've seen kids go to foster care for less than this. And that's just facts. As far as what she has.
They take the child out the home when the child lived in the home with the perpetrator.
Now, see, here she go. First of all, again, she think just because the child was living with a non-custodial, non-biological parent, or whatever he may have been, he's not really the parent because he don't have custody and he's not recognized. But she thinks just because she was living with him, that child had no business living with a man that she was not related to, nor was that the parent. That's the facts. That's what she's missing. That child was put in a precarious situation by her mother, who made a poor decision. You don't allow your daughters to live with men that you're dating, especially when you're not there to supervise. That is irresponsible parenting. That could be grounds to lose your child. And that's just facts. And any competent CPS worker would tell you that. But for Koja, no, Koja knows every goddamn thing.
If the mother is not the if the mother is not the perpetrator, if the mother is not the perpetrator, if she's not the perpetrator and not part of it, they will not remove the children from the home. And if he doesn't reside in the home, they will not. Okay. I just discussed this stuff with my mama, who works for that actual.
Look, she just discussed this stuff with her mama. Shout out to Jalen. What's up, brother? Glad I was able to have you up, man. You up and doing your thing. She think because she discussed this with her mom, she can argue with me on how a CPS case goes down. See, this is the level of buffoonery that I got to deal with. And the thing about it is the people who have credentials and education and training, they argue with you the most. They try to argue with you the most. What the hell your mama got to do with? I've done thousands of fucking CPS cases. At least 20% of those CPS cases involve sexual abuse, rape, but you know more than me because your mama told you.
DC, who work for that DCF system and HRS system, what they do in the state of Texas and what they do in the state of Florida.
That is not true. That is not true.
Hold up. If that child does not reside in the home with the perpetrator and the mother was not a participant in it, they will not remove that child. Now, if that mother failed to protect that child, it would.
The mother failed to protect the child because she allowed her child to be in the custody of a perpetrator. You dumbass. This is poor parenting skills. I don't know what you're arguing. You allowing your child to go out at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning with a grown ass man to a club? You're partially responsible. Regardless of if the child was living with him or not, or living with the parent or not. This shit is ridiculous. When they do an investigation, they evaluate your ability to parent. They're looking at your mental instability, your physical health, your ability to work, make money, your ability, how you argue. I've seen parents lose their kids because they didn't even have electricity and water. I've seen parents lose their kids on the basis of the upkeep of the home, not in an adequate shape to raise children. But this woman want to sit here and argue with me, a bona fide professional, an owner of multiple motherfucking facilities and shit in multiple fucking cities in Texas, Dallas, Houston, Galveston County area, a host of fucking contracts with multiple government fucking agencies and counting. But you want to sit here and tell me what the fuck I know and what should be done based on what your mother told you. I lamented the fact at the beginning, based on the information I know and the fact of what was told, and the fact that there are all type of variables that contribute to whether a child is taken out the home or not. She comes in if she knows every goddamn thing about this case, and therefore she's the expert.
But no, know what she's talking about. I've been to court. I've dealt with many cases like this. I've done cases in Florida. I've done cases in Louisiana. I've done some cases in
if the mother is not part of it and the child doesn't reside in the home with it, they will not remove that child.
She's being respectful.
Another thing, she's speaking of in absolutes, and there are cases where they will, and then there are cases where they don't. But she's sitting there saying in a definite position, they will not. There is no will not. It depends on the overall case and what was presented and the scenarios that contributed to the abuse. But what do I know? I'm just a licensed therapist.
Let me explain why what you're saying is wrong. Because regardless of where the child is, they're looking at the fact that that child was being supervised, allegedly by the parent of custody. And if the parent of custody did something or made a decision that put a child in risk, whether they were directly or indirectly involved, they are going to investigate them and put you at risk of putting your children in an unsafe environment. It doesn't matter. That's false.
Matter of fact, I deal with cases like this all the time in which a parent had a guy come over and
you ain't got to tell me whether it's true or false, because I was just involved with this same system 3 years.
Again, she want to say again. This is again a woman who is powerless, who wants to control and who wants to dictate, who wants to be heard, who wants to be right. She cannot stand to be around intelligent Black men. She cannot stand to have civil conversation. She wants to dominate and show that she one up a man. Hooray, hooray, give you your flowers. I don't give a damn. This is what I do for a living. This is not a fucking hobby. This is what I do for a living. And I be damned if I'm gonna let somebody that thinks that they can just come in because their mother or they read this, they all of a sudden know more than what I know, and I'm in the trenches.
Years ago, and my child was okay. Excuse me, I don't know if you can hear me.
Now she's giving her own examples of her and her own child, which has nothing to do with this case.
I was just involved in this system 3 years ago. I was just involved in this.
It doesn't matter if you were involved in it 6 years ago, 3 years ago, or yesterday. That's one case. I'm talking about systematic situations, case by case basis, not from your own anecdotal experience, unique experience, based on a case relatable and confined to you and your family.
System 3 years ago when my child was a victim, and they
paid for it. People pay me to go to court for this shit. So don't sit here and try to tell me what I don't know when I see this. I've been doing this for like 15, 16 years. People know, I mean, damn. I'm trying to explain to you.
I'm trying to explain to you, I was just involved in this situation 3 years.
You was involved in your own shit. Your shit is not relatable to somebody else's. Just because whatever happened in your case doesn't mean it's going to happen to somebody else's case. And see, this goes to the unintellectualism of motherfucking YouTube, where people think because they experienced this, they saw this or that, they read this, that they can argue with people who are experts in what the fuck they do. See, this is why I can't get on panels. This is why I have divested myself from manosphere panels, because I'm sick and tired of people trying to challenge me with statistics that they don't understand, they don't know how to assess, they don't know how to read. I'm tired of going to other spaces, even with some of the women arguing with me just on the basis of I'm a man. This is the reason why I have divested myself from so many panels, because I'm sick and tired of people giving false information. And the minute I try to correct, not just the fact of me trying to show somebody, it's just I'm just merely trying to educate and say, no, this is actually what happens. All of a sudden, they jumping down my throat. What kind of therapist? So you don't know what you're talking about. You think because you a therapist, this and that. No, I do this shit. If people pay me to do this shit, and I'm damn good at it. I have never experienced so much fucking professional pushback in my life until I came on this goddamn platform. And that's just facts.
My child was a victim. Let me finish. Well, then you want to talk, but you're not telling the truth. You are not being, your information is wrong, Desiree. I'm going to tell you, as a matter of fact, your information is wrong. Your information, yes, I have.
These people, I know what they talk about. I know the process. Don't sit there and tell me what's right or wrong. I do this for a living. I'm not talking about your little your
system. No, babe. You're wrong, Desiree. Now maybe you need to clarify your statement, but you're wrong. You're wrong. But you're not gonna let it. Well, I'm gonna let you finish up. I'm gonna let you finish up, and I'll speak after you. Go ahead and finish up, and I'll speak after you.
I'm trying to. again, like I stated, they're going to do an investigation, BMT. Mm-hmm. They're going to do an investigation on the mother. They're going to do an investigation on where she lives, the environment that she's in. And to be honest with you, due to the fact that this child, and they found the fact, I guess what has been reported, what you've shown and so forth, the fact that they found that she potentially had sex or they found semen, they're going to take that child out of the home. I've seen this shit happen where they would investigate, they'll do a visit. They'll pop up and do a visit, they'll do an extensive interview with her, other family members and so forth. And they're not going to go to the home and take this child. 90% of the time, when they take that child, they're going to go to the school. And they're going to go to the school, and they're going to go pick that child up, and they're going to talk to the principals and give whatever information they want. And they're going to take that child out of school, and they're going to actually see if another relative can take this child, or they're going to put her in foster care. This is what they do to our Black children when stuff like this happens. Now, I don't know, she can say whatever she had in her incident, but I'm talking about the fact that I deal with like 50 to 60 of these a year for the last 15, 17 years. And I've dealt with different situations where cases were transferred to and from other states, and it's the same stuff. They act and do pretty much the similar thing. So if the chat and people in here want to listen to one incident, or you want to listen to someone who actually get paid and has been doing this for years, that's up to you. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to say go back and forth with you about what's right and what's wrong without practice and get paid to do this. And I work hand in hand systematically with these government agencies ongoing. So I know what's likelihood to happen. Okay, so you can say what you want. I'm gonna sit back and I'm not gonna say one word.
Now, I'm showing y'all right here. Shout out to Jay Sean, shout out to Young Link and Nixon and Kev when we were here. This is called an intake unit assigned for child battery and child abuse.
Right?
Pretty much as child services. Okay? So there's child services involved. And there's child penetration.
Can I speak to what BMT?
See, listen, BMT is explaining things. She still has a need to feel like she gotta fucking get a point of view, get her goddamn point across. She gotta, despite all the fucking facts, despite my fucking years of experience, the documentation that BMT is stating, she still has to run her fucking mouth and get her. See, this is a lady that feels powerless in real life. Nobody want to listen to her. Nobody want to fuck with her. Nobody values what she does and say. And she wants to get in here and gain that on YouTube. And it's sad because you need to upgrade and do what you can do in your real life. This is why I don't get on panels as much, because I'm not going to sit here and argue with people that I know what to be true. Now, listen, stated at the beginning, every case is different. There are different scenarios. There's different things that contribute to why a child, just because one child leaves the home, that doesn't mean that another child is going to leave the home under similar circumstances. I've seen circumstances where there was alleged molestation and the child didn't leave home. I never said it's going to happen the same way every time for every situation. Every situation. She was speaking in absolutes. Now listen to her on this.
What the Darrell said, because it's some very important nuances that he missed. So
I'm just showing y'all the players on the board.
I want to speak to the part about CPT and child abuse, because he just gave out some information that's wrong, and I would really like to correct it, because I don't. This case has been going on since February. If that child,
are you talking about your child, or are you talking about this?
No,
again. She's taking it upon herself. I'm going to prove the professional wrong. I'm going to prove the expert that does this shit. I know more because I had my scenario and I'm close with the case. My mom gave me the information. Fuck what D. Darrell stated. What he stated don't mean shit. I know what I know.
I'm talking about this case because it was reported that this initially came back in February. So by Florida law, anytime there's an allegation of that, it has to be reported to the child abuse hotline. And that's when they go in because it's two separate entities. The police and the child abuse is two separate entities. Although they work together, they have different goals. They will use the term imminent danger. Now, if that mother was not a perpetrator of the crime and the child no longer resides and does not reside in the home with the perpetrator, they will not remove that.
That is a lie. That is a lie. A child being in imminent danger due to bad parenting is not just relegated to whether or not the child was living in somebody's home. It's about who's supervising and who allowed their child to be in a bad scenario. This mother allowed a grown-ass man to take her child to a goddamn club. This is not a situation like, say, for instance, let me give you an example of how what she said could be true. Let's say you had a babysitter and the babysitter molested your child at her home. You went child to the babysitter's home and you found out that the child was molested by the babysitter. Okay, that's a different scenario in which would be looked at totally different. This mother was dating a man who is a non-custodial parent, who's not even the parent or a non-custodial parent, who had no business having access to her child like that. The mother would be assessed and would be critiqued for that bad choice of parenting. That would not be ignored. I don't give a damn where the child lived. The child could live with the grandmother. If that mother is the custodial parent and she put her child by her own decision allowing other men to take her child to fucking clubs and you knowingly allowed this to happen? But see, Koja don't understand that. Koja wants to prove a black man wrong to make it seem like I got you. I one up you.
Child. So from that time to this time, that child has not been removed from the home. It's more than likely they made the assessment that she did not participate in because the child is not in what they consider imminent danger. If they thought that that child was in imminent danger and still in the vicinity of the perpetrator and the mother was refusing to take her away from him, yes, they would have. But there are very important nuances that you're missing, D. Darrell. And DMT, me and my mother was just speaking about it because we was discussing.
Me and my mother again. Me and my mother. She talking about all the nuances. I don't give a damn. I already spoke on the same things that you talked about. My thing is that if you want to speak on nuances, there are all types of nuances that we're not even aware of. But you claim you more and you don't know any more than I do, but you know of all the nuances.
Something about, I think it was that child that got took in Florida BMT the other night, and I told you. So yes, you have worked with it 15 years. My mother worked with it more than 15 years. So I've always kept abreast of it, and I know. And
my mother knows. So therefore, you know.
You want to say anecdotal evidence when you're not the alleged perpetrator, when your child is a victim of which you didn't participate in the process, and your child is not in danger, they do not remove the children from the home. So that
is not true. It's a case-by-case scenario based on the information that's presented. That is not a finite outcome. It does not happen on every basis. Is not limited to that. It all depends. All cases are not the same. And it's at the discretion of the program directors.
That's the only point I wanted to correct you on. They do not take every child. If my child go to school.
And I never said they took every child. She misrepresented everything I stated. Because I don't speak in absolutes.
Somebody touch her, they don't take the child from the home because the parent was not a part of that. And it still goes to situations like this. If the mother was unaware and she's protected her child, which she did by taking her to the hospital, we're going to say. That's why the child still resides with her. That child would have been taken out immediately. And if they find out in the investigatory process that she is part of it, they will take her.
You didn't hear anything I stated. I did not say 100% of the time. I said in most cases, in most situations, it's a high percentage of. You heard what you wanted to hear. Every situation has its own unique circumstances, so there is some level of flexibility. So, yeah, listen, you want to be right, I'm going to let you be right. I'm just telling people what happens majority of the time. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just telling you, you need to be more concise in your statement, so you will convey that.
How the hell are you going to tell me about being concise when both of us, either of us, have all the information? I'm going on my own professional opinion based on what I have seen. You going by information of your mother who worked in the field and your own fucking case. I'll be concise with you when no matter what I'm saying, you're trying to hear what you want to hear instead of hearing exactly what I'm saying.
I heard what you said.
I can't help if you're going to misinterpret what I'm saying. That's what I'm doing.
Let me play this.
I'm quiet, BMT.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Let me just play this right here. Again, I like to go do, like before, I could have been to the story, but I like to doggone make sure that whenever we cover this,
what's up, China?
We cover these kind of information. That
what's up, we on lock?
What happens is that it's concise. That we're showing y'all the police report. We're showing y'all everything, so that way stuff from whenever we cover this stuff, still believe will be referred to in the post as comedic. They'll believe hang is literally this is that.
Okay, let me stop there because that is the gist for those that want to know what led to all of these issues. And you're right, Gynecology Takeover. She don't want Black mothers held accountable in any type of way. Talking about immediate danger. Her argument ain't it. I mean, you allowed your child to go to a fucking club. 12-year-old. Doesn't matter if they're living with you or not. That is irresponsible behavior for a parent. I don't understand how that's so fucking difficult for her to fucking understand. Now, I'm going to go ahead and send the link for anybody that want to come up and chop it up with D. Darrell. I'm going to go ahead and send the link out. And then I'm going to play this other video because I want to let you all know just kind of reference how this came about in this fucking place and how this lady took this one video and made a big ass fucking deal and got on BMT ass and mentioned me based on that. She didn't know what the hell she was talking about. She really didn't. She went on limited information. I never spoke in absolutes because I didn't say every case things happen the same. I'm basing things on my own experience, based on seeing kids, getting taken out the home. And this is just facts. But I want you all to listen to this.
Every time they go out, you make sure they're.
I'm going to show this. Because, see, my thing is that I'm tired of people attempting to act like they can out-debate me on shit that I've been doing for years and just discredit my expertise, my hard work, the fact that I have an exceptional reputation in multiple counties in the state of Texas, but all of a sudden you on YouTube want to discredit me because you think I don't know what I'm talking about. What's up, Commendable K?
Hey, what up, D. Darrell? Hopefully you can hear me.
What's up, brother?
Hopefully, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. I can hear you good.
Yeah. I appreciate you doing this. The whole time you played that, I was thinking in my head that she was saying, Mama said this, Mama said that, Mama said this, Mama said that. And that's, it's basically, it was like she was trying to talk to you like you both were children or something. And, I commend you on divesting from a lot of spaces, because when it boils down to it, in my opinion, panelists masquerading as content creators and influencers, they're lowering the quality of spaces. And I applaud you for divesting from low tier stuff, and that should be the way to go, because it's possible to blow up without dysfunctional and nonsense. It just takes time, and I know a lot of people are attracted to low hanging fruit type of stuff. And you all are wrong. You're wrong for using that Fire Marshal Bill picture on the thumbnail. I just wanted to say that, but I mean, hey, you're wrong for it, but it's funny. But yeah, her speaking of absolutes is, her way of trying to control the conversation, like you were saying. She wouldn't let you finish or respond or accept that each state is different, each situation is different, and the process she's referring to and yourself referring to both could be right. And her arguing was evidence that, she, in my opinion, she just doesn't like you, and she was trying to embarrass you. And that's why I say that these panelists masquerading as content creators and influencers, they have agendas, and all like you said, they just want to embarrass a black man. Because instead of her acknowledging that what you're saying and laying out is a possibility, because as content creators, we know that we're trying to educate an audience. You know what I'm saying? We're communicating to an audience so that they can be educated, so that if they have to go through the process of being assaulted, because I was a sexual assault investigator, and majority of the victims I interviewed and worked with, it was their first time, and they were scared. There was no one to educate them as far as the school system on what to do. When something happens, the first thing they're feeling is shock, embarrassment. They blame themselves, and they really don't know what to do. So they don't really have time for a Google search, but they will call 911 whatever time they process what just happened to them. So the goal should be to educate the audience, so that another thing is that if they have to support someone else or they have to communicate information, we have that. But her arguing with you and trying to loud talk you and say that, Mama said this, Mama said that, all that does is present confusion, especially to an audience member who really wants the information just in case, or maybe they experience something and they want to come forward and have courage. And hearing you as a licensed therapist talk about a situation can make them say, you know what? At first, I was going to just, act like this never happened and move on with my life. But maybe I should go somewhere, say something, and talk to someone to help someone else not go through what I went through. And that should be the takeaway when it comes to these panels. And, I hate that, the thing about it is, me personally, I have noticed that Cojamilk, she does disrupt a lot of panels. It is entertaining when she's going against somebody else dysfunctional and they're like just duking it out like boxers. But in intellectual conversations, she's usually a disruptor. She's usually someone who's adding chaos, and usually she'll cut someone off mid-sentence and change the subject. And that kind of gets people away from the meat and potatoes of what could be some good takeaway. So, myself, BMT and Faith, we've kind of put it out there that we're boycotting Malik because she made statements on, and I don't know if you joined yet or not. I really haven't heard anything.
I joined. I joined months ago. I kicked her out. Man, listen, I'm gonna see what y'all don't know, that Cojamilk has followed me in several sectors. In the Umar sector, she goes by the name of SC. That's why I put SC Johnson.
Okay.
And she does the same thing. When she encounters other content creators that may have not liked me, she'll get on a panel and say, D. Darrell does this everywhere he goes. All in the manosphere, blah, 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 blah. He does this, and he ain't this, and he that. And D. been doing this, and D. Darrell, she does this. So you all are looking at it from just in this sector, but she does this in other sectors too. And I said, Cojamilk, I notice you. That's not me. I'm like, lady, your voice is recognizable, and you same stuff. But the thing about it, see, I have encountered this level of interaction for now going on maybe 5 years, no, 4 years now. And it's at a point where I can't do this anymore. Like I am not going to get up there and give it when they ask me to do, like, I can just get up there and talk about any topic. But if you're asking me, when you're requesting me to consult and talk about things within my profession, I take that seriously. And that's why, and when I do that, it irritates me when people think they know something more than I do. And I've been doing this, not only the fact that I got the credential, but I've been doing this for years. But you're going to go by the fact, if you're going by information that your mother told you, that you don't even necessarily know all the integral aspects of that, and the fact that you had one CPS case of your own that had nothing to do, that's irrelevant to this, regardless of if it was sexual assault or sexual abuse or molestation. Every case is looked at in its own individual. Yes, you have policies. I didn't even go up there to talk about policies and procedures. What I went up there to talk about, BMT asked me to come up there to talk about the issue of the victim and the mother. It had nothing, I did not go up there to talk about CPS policy. I went up there to talk about the fact of what the child would have to go through as far as going through a rape kit, being assessed by the police, the fact that CPS, when things like this happen, the police contact CPS so that make sure that they're involved. The mother having to be evaluated psychologically and so forth, getting drug tests. See, this is the stuff I went up there to tell that she don't understand, but she want to sit there and say, well, you didn't understand about the family. I didn't go up there to talk about that. But since you want to talk about that, I can. And this whole thing about she said I only look at it, I'm not in the investigative aspect of the case. No, I'm not in the direct investigate as far as the collecting the data aspect. But based on a person's mental health, they may request me to see them initially or somewhere down the line. It all depends on the person's functionality, their mental status. She said, you therapists don't come in till 3, 4, 5 months down the line. That's not true.
Nah. Yeah, it's not true.
She said, she's like this. So I'm sitting here telling you this, and I've done interstate cases. I've had cases in Alabama, Louisiana. I had one in Florida in which the client moved. Like, we could still continue to see a client, a parent or whatever, if they're in Texas and they transfer out to another state. I can still provide services for them or do some level of services while they're in another state, whether they're staying there permanently or not, unless the other state, they transfer the case out and the other state takes over. They try not to do that because it's like they'll start all over again. But you will sit here and tell me that based on what you know, I'm wrong. And I tried to tell you cannot speak in absolutes just because I understand policies and procedures, but every case has its own unique texture. And you can't, because some situation may be similar, that the outcome is going to be the same. It's not. And it's also based, you've been in if you've been an investigator, you've been in those meetings. Depending on the program director, they're going to make that decision. And and I'm pretty sure you've probably been in a situation where you didn't agree with what the program director stated. You wonder why they made that decision, but they make that decision. It's not a one size fit, and that's all I was trying to say. And she was on this thing about me totally being wrong when it was, and I didn't even want to talk about. I was talking about the mental status of the parent, the child, what they would have to undergo. She made it about something that wasn't about the case. Now, in seeing the scenario yesterday on Faith, did you go, because I knowing that did you talk to her about any of the process of what she was saying, or it was just more about her and BM? Because I looked at snippets, I looked at the aspect of her and BMT around the 250 mark. But did you speak to her directly about policies and procedures? Because obviously she was stuck on that.
No, I wasn't on the stream. I did do a response video, and so in my response, I was saying, in my experience as being an investigator, a licensed therapist was involved in the front, the middle, and the back end. And like you said, it depends on scenario. So an investigator, I mean, a therapist will be involved in the front end, because usually, let's say if the alleged victim is a child, a therapist is going to come in and immediately start working. Try to see what's going on with the child. Was a child strictly a victim, or has the child taken on the traits of someone who may have abused the child? Because that determines where the child goes, as far as, do they go into this type of foster area or this other foster area? Do they go back to the parents? And then also, the nurses would do the physical examination for physical damage. The licensed therapist would look at the mental damage, because in my experience, the mental damage is going to be more severe than the physical damage, because the physical stuff heals, but the mental stuff does not. So that's the front end piece that I've dealt with. And as far as the middle part, there's been situations where the blue shirts or the cops, they've exhausted all options and they can't find any other evidence. They have uncooperative witnesses. Family might be getting in the way, and then the DA might not press charges because it's not enough evidence. It's not enough there to have probable cause. So they would bring in a licensed therapist to possibly, go to the alleged victim's house and see if the alleged victim, after having time to process what may or may not happen, may or may not have happened, or maybe whoever the subject is or potential abuser, maybe they're not around and the child feels a little bit safer to reveal more information. The licensed therapist might go to the house, the school, the church, or wherever to see if it's possible that the licensed therapist can obtain more information, and hopefully having the victim, if the victim's over 18 or older, or a parent of a alleged victim, will sign off on this new information. And now an investigation, not investigation, but charges could possibly be brought up simply by this other information being given. And then the licensed therapist will also be involved in the back end of it, because an alleged victim, now is needing to get back to feeling normal, feeling safe, and to help, understand exactly what he
integrate back into their normal life. And you're looking at the long-term care as far as them functioning after this case is over with. The case doesn't stay open forever. The child still needs to be able to have, a level of healing, a level of other aftercare services. I mean, there's just a lot of things that she didn't understand. And I'm sitting here like, I can't get how you have. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, see, the issue is that Koja doesn't really want to listen. She wants to talk. And she wants to talk because she wants to be in charge.
Right.
And that's the issue, is from what I saw on Faith's panel, in my opinion, she just doesn't like BMT. So even though BMT was right, and it's case by case, no one was wrong, and it's about educating the audience, because we're dealing with a panelist, go from panel to panel, just talking, enjoying the show, enjoying and having fun. A panelist is not really going to be concerned with the takeaways for the audience. So every time BMT would talk, Koja would cut him off. She'd be disrespectful. She'd get loud. And, BMT, he's not really a type to really just, be like manosphere with a woman. So he's letting her get her stuff out, and it's disruptive. And that's really what the issue was. And then if you watch more of the stream, it escalates into Cojamilk giving insults about BMT's deceased spouse that was carrying their child.
That to me, man. See, I caught that aspect of it, and I rewatched that about a dozen times, and the fact of the matter is that this is one of the other reasons why I don't get on, because it's like people say irresponsible stuff like that, and then she didn't even want to apologize. She didn't even think this man was worthy of an apology. And my thing is that yes, on YouTube we will say things, we will argue, we will say a lot of disrespectful stuff or outlandish things. But when you're talking about somebody's, wife, that least that's that you don't know how this man may be grieving over this or thinking about this seasonal depression. And you just saying something that's irresponsible to this man about his. It shows to the lack of respect that some people have. They get on these airwaves and they say all kinds of disrespectful stuff. but they want to command respect, but you're not willing to give respect. And to me, I was like, I can't believe these ladies, but I can believe it, but I can't believe that in order for you to want to feel like you're right or in control or dominate, you would willing to go that low for an internet YouTube show. See that, and I'm like, what in the thick of things, this should not have that big of a priority in your life, particularly if you're not making. And like you said, she's a panelist. She's not even a content creator. So why are you getting up here saying something like that? You trying to strike low at somebody, and you know, you should be more mature than that. You know, it's not worth you doing that. I mean, I don't know how I would react if let's say that was my, you know, because you don't know, but that the brother obviously was affected by the fact that she said that, and she refused to say I'm sorry after he apologized, and he had no reason to apologize, even though he apologized for calling out her name based on her doing that, but she still refused.
Well, it's good that BMT did because it showed class and decorum because it was the Faith Factors channel. And that's another thing. Cojamilk not apologizing to Faith and BMT shows that she doesn't respect either one of them. And I was kind of surprised because she's been supporting Faith for years, but maybe that support was she just wanted the grandstands on a panel, you know, as a panelist masquerading as a content creator, as opposed to actually respecting Faith, respecting her channel, and wanting to see her grow. And that's the thing. Like a lot of these panelists who are masquerading as content creators, they go from panel to panel, they're having a good time, saying whatever. They don't care because they don't know, their ignorance, because they, you know, as a content creator, you're going to look at YouTube's terms and conditions. You're going to look at do's and do nots. You're going to change certain words because you want your content to be visible because you really believe you're providing a service and providing entertainment. So those that don't care and they don't have a dog in the fight, they get up here and they're just trying to get their kicks out. They're muddying up the water, and they're the main reason why Black YouTube is frowned upon. And I'm glad that you have the manosphere. You're taking the concept of the manosphere and actually making it positive for men and women, because the word men is in women and men. So I think it's great. And, you know, I support you with the manosphere. And, you know, I know you're going to do better than what the manosphere did. They didn't even trademark their stuff. And somebody made a magazine, and now they're upset because somebody beat them to a finish line they didn't even know existed or they weren't trying to run to. So all these people muddying up the waters, lowering the quality of the space. This is what really is bringing things down. It's lowering the property value of the city, if you will. And and I don't know. It's just the ignorance that was displayed with Faith's stream, and then the one you showed. You know, it shouldn't just stop with Cojamilk. It should also go into other people who are panelists masquerading as content creators, or they're panelists and they don't add any value. They don't share any links. They don't provide. They don't support monetarily.
I said this on my show when I did a video about another situation that happened where there were people talking about Kevin Samuels. And this is actually my second time, because Faith has, you know, her platform is good. And to me, when Faith gets on consistently, she attracts a lot of people to come over there. If she stay consistent, people like coming over there. And there's a lot of women that come over there. And there's men too. There's a lot of men that like Faith attracts a lot of people to there. Particularly if she puts out several videos, live streams, people come there in the morning, they come there whenever. And so what ends up happening is that, and I even said this on my previous video, she attracts people that claim they support, but they don't really support her like that. I know for a fact, I support Faith financially, friendship, offline. I support her. There are people on there that I know for a fact on that Kevin Samuels, they do not support her, and they had the mic. They were dominant. They were saying all kinds of stuff that was disrespecting her platform, and they were coming over there just for that. And I'm like, wait a minute, where were y'all when Faith was talking about narcissistic mothers and all? When Faith was talking about the grandmammies and all the stuff about the women, because Faith goes in about particularly when talking about older grandmothers and other different things, teaching women, I don't see them over there.
Exactly.
But I'm over there. I know for a fact I'm watching live, or I am donating, or I'm listening to replays, and I comment, and I may text Faith and say, "Hey, great show," and stuff like that. Where are you on that? Unfortunately, Faith got put in some situations, that really caused people. I mean, even though it was negative, it did cause people to watch her channel more because of that situation. I mean, that's just that's just part of YouTube, whether you trying to get into something, because she really wasn't trying to get into anything. But the fact of the matter is that, these people are there saying this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, why are you bringing your mess to Faith's channel? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why are you bringing your issues? What Koja did was she brought an issue of BMT to Faith's platform.
Right.
And it had no basis for that. Matter of fact, when I watched the video, because I caught the end of it yesterday, because I was just getting up to go to work, and I know Faith is in there 2 hours away from me, so it was like 9 o'clock here, right? And that was like a 7-hour live stream. I didn't even know she was on that morning, that because I was asleep. So so when I saw it, I'm like, damn, all these people up here, and I see all this stuff going on, these people I don't even recognize. So I decided, I said, let me just rewind up. I said, well, I'm like, wait a minute, why is my name coming up? She brought up my name, and she referenced this, and then I had to think about what she talking about, the Brother Polite thing that we talked about like almost a year ago. Then I said, and then I saw the exchange with her, and BMT was very calm. He like, man, look, she shouldn't have said this, and then he got hot with her. Then she left and came back. And I'm like, this lady, so you're up like 3 o'clock in the morning. You're on the East Coast, I think. And you're just arguing with this grown man 3, 4 o'clock in the morning about some shit that happened 8, 9 months ago. Like, who does this? These are people that socially something is going on, emotionally something is missing, that you're so fixated on YouTube that you're holding grudges, and you're so emotionally affected by people you haven't even met. You don't even know this man, but you're going at this man's, deceased
spouse.
That's horrible.
And the spouse, and when the spouse lost her life, when somebody deleted her,
and the child,
she was pregnant.
That shit that sticks with a person for life. You don't forget that. You may learn to minimize emotionally from it, but you don't forget that. That sticks with you for life. That you
What's
lost.
really bad is Koja's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. She's
a what? Koja's a mom. She's a mom. Her name Cojamilk is like her 3 sons' names put together. So for her to be a mom and to say that about another mother who not only lost her life but lost their child's life, it just shows that she's kind of disconnected with humanity, in my opinion. And you could probably speak to this better than I can, but there's a lot of programming going on with these different groups. If I say the word divest or divester, you're it gives you a certain team or groupthink, and a cult-like mindset. And if I say B1, if I say manosphere, if I say SYSBM, these are like cult-like mentalities, and people are being programmed to somewhat be attack dogs. So Koja has been programmed like an attack dog by the divestors, the TMHC, that groupthink way of thinking, and this gang-like behavior that we're seeing online. That's the reason why people they got to go to work at 6 a.m., but they're on these different panels and in these different chat rooms fighting people all the way up until they have to go to work, or sometimes even having to call in to work so they can keep on fighting, because they're being somewhat trained to be like internet soldiers, because there's a war going on, and it's being fought with cameras and microphones. And there's a lot of people who really can't disconnect from social media and YouTube and Black YouTube and whatnot, because
Right.
This is all they have. This is the highlight of their life. Their life is now centered around this, and they actually look at this space as something that is just as real as real life, if not
and
realer.
it gives them value.
And it gives them value. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, because
I was gonna say virtual, like a virtual currency or virtual.
It is a virtual currency, virtual clout. The fact that you're in a position where people are actually paying attention to you, people actually are validating you, and you're not like I said. A lot of these guys that come on here, there has to be something that they're missing socially, that they're able to get a positive reinforcement when they go online. So they grab. Human beings naturally want to be validated. They like to be connected to other people. They like to feel valued and feel a certain level of admiration from others. I don't care what culture you come from, what sex. It's human to want some level of that. But the fact of the matter, like you said, when you become to a point of where you're missing work, like I had a guy got fired in another sector. He actually got fired for he called in to work to get $320 worth of soup to do a show. Matter of fact, he did the show on me. He was quote unquote roasting me. He called in from work. This guy works in tech. He called in from work, did a 3-hour live stream, called in from work. He made 300. He was happy he made $320 in cash apps. They doxed him, showed the thing to the company he worked for, and they fired him because he called in from work, but your ass is playing around on YouTube. See, that's a problem. And to me, there has to be a departmentalization of what you do on YouTube, and you know when to turn this shit off and go to your real life doing. And there are people that that can't separate it.
Right.
And that to me, is very difficult for me to understand because I don't have a problem disconnecting. I don't have a problem. I've never confused this with reality. Now there is realism in social media and in this because there's a lot of real things we say. Content creators may say and do things that is reflective of what they are in real life, and some put on personas and so forth. But at the same time, a person like Koja, and others, because there's a lot of people that actually people worse than Koja. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you got people giving exuberant amounts of money to people you never met, I've seen this happen countless times. I've even interviewed a guy that gave thousands of dollars to people. That's an issue with that. Like, you're valuing this social space more than real life where you're doing this kind of stuff. And to me, it's okay to turn it off and disconnect and, be in the real world, socialize, do other things. And unfortunately, YouTube, social media attracts people who are not necessarily the most socially gifted people as far as being confident in themselves, as far as interacting, conversing, having friends, the dating thing, which is always talked about. And this is just more, it's easier to do. You can hide under personas, you can be whatever you want, but it's not real. But yeah, man, like I saw your video where you actually apologized for where you kind of misspoke about some. See, that's all she had to do.
Yeah.
Like what was so difficult about you admitting you should have looked at something in a different, and I commend you on doing that. That's why we call you Commendable K. But my thing is,
I have a theory on why I think she didn't apologize. It's because of her gang or her clique would have not given her virtual Scooby snack. Because you gotta understand, and you can speak to this as well. Cojamilk is known for running with the Divesters. She's like their attack dog, and TMHC if they are or not around. So if she would have apologized, that would have made her look weak to her gang, and she wouldn't have been able to go back to him and say, hey, look at the great job I did. Because in addition to this being, you know, for entertainment, which is this is all it should be, there's some people that this escapism of of YouTube, this escapism is like they feel like it's an extension of themselves, and they can like almost reinvent themselves online. Because offline, a lot of these people, when they get doxxed, it comes to light that in real life they're losers. So a lot of people are living in their grandmother's basement, or they, you know, they're really homeless. They're in Airbnbs and they're having to be with a whole bunch of people. They live in libraries, live in casinos, and they come to YouTube to escape and be someone who they're not. And to me, that is a part of like a mental illness. I'm not a therapist. I can't evaluate anybody, but I believe that there's as a layman, I believe there's a mental problem with that. And that's why she couldn't apologize, is because if she would have apologized, she would have looked weak to whoever sent her over to attack. And there's so many people who are like that. You really can't have an honest conversation with them because they're focused on agendas. They're focused on who's supposed to be the target this week. And they're also thinking that they are friends with other people who they're attacking on behalf of, until they realize that everything they had was just erased. You know, I've seen content creators, not going to name any names. I don't want to like ruin the platform, but there's people who are homeless. Like a few weeks ago, they were begging for money. And they're like, you know, I'm going to say adult laborers.
Sex workers.
Sex workers.
I actually made a comment. Matter of fact, it's funny you bringing this up, because I made a point of this on that same video where this person had the gall to talk about black men being like perpetrators and all this other stuff, and you were begging for money from black men.
From black men.
I'm like, now we are nakers and all this other shit, and I'm like, what is going? I'm like, what is this? Like, man, I kid you not. I actually said this, and you can BMT can actually second. I actually said in 2009, I think it was 2019. I told the manosphere, and I said, you all need to be careful about what you're saying, because the American Psychological Association and other psychological and sociological behavioral latent orientated organizations are watching you and observing this sector, and they're going to create research, and then they're going to start influencing what you all are saying as far as what is hate speech and things like that. And they're going to start making legislation, particularly on those in this sector that end up committing crimes. And all of that shit that I said, because I know how this works, it all has come to fruition. We've had multiple people who've done stuff. And you know what the thing that's not talked about enough? It almost I almost left YouTube on behind of guys that I know have tried to commit suicide and those who did commit suicide. I almost left it. I almost left because I didn't want to deal with that, because I had a situation that happened professionally that I had a client back in 2006, 7, I think. This was 15 years ago. And I remember it like yesterday. She committed suicide. That's the only client that I actually had and I'm lucky that I've only had one client that actually did that. One too many. And whenever I deal with people with suicide or have attempts, I'm very cautious with them and how I treat them. And then I get in this space and I'm finding out people committed. This black pill stuff, guys with there's a lot of guys on black pill who have attempted and try to commit suicide. There's another guy that who committed suicide that I knew on Mr. Research Channel. Used to be there all the time. Then there was another guy I knew that he did suicide gestures of him jumping off a building and things like that. You know, and so I get very antsy about that, because I know the warning signs of suicide very well. And when people do a lot of abstract things that are telltale signs of possibly that. I'm very hypersensitive to that. When I hear people start talking about, they thinking in helpless and hopeless terms, and they're not eating and they're not sleeping, or they just gave up, or they start. I take that as if you're potentially thinking about, even if it's not the case. But this YouTube has this space, the manosphere has a a high level of mental illness, and people who have done these type of things, and there's a high occurrence of people who are domestic violence abusers that don't talk about that, but they are that, and so it's like, stuff like that happens on, like, this space is full of stuff like that, and these are the main people that want to talk about relationships. These are the main people that have never been married. They never had a relationship. Some of these people ain't never dated or had sex in 3-4 years, but they're the expert on everything about relationships. Like,
what they do is, I'm sorry, what they do is they just take what someone else's talking points and they go run with it. And just kind of piggybacking off what you were saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you want to finish your thought.
No,
so to me, it's learned helplessness, accepted powerlessness. They come here, they complain and blame everybody but themselves and the choices that they made, and they align themselves with these cults, with these different ideologies made by cult leaders. Blue pill, red pill, pink pill,
right.
Black pill, purple pill, all these different pills. And it's like, well, this pill, if you take it, this is what it's going to give you. And people believe they're going to actually get this secret sauce or ingredient, and they quote unquote digest it. And then it starts to program their minds with tenets like SYSBM. They got tenets, or, the divestors, they got their little tenets or hang-ups. Even the Black women empowerment, they got their tenets. So it's all these different gangs and different cults, and some of it is completely toxic, some of it is beneficial, but what they do with it is dysfunctional. And when it boils down to it, people are being programmed, and some of them are being hypnotized, and you can see it during a live stream. You can see by the comments that are in the live stream chat.
You need to watch a video. This divested lady was talking to Dennis Sperling. And he did a video. This is one of his latest videos. He did this video. He created this video maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. She was a divested Black lady, live in Austin. Had a Confederate flag mask over her face that had the Confederacy flag over it. And it's like Dennis was asking her questions, and her responses were irrelevant to what the question was. Like, Dennis would ask her, well, why do you believe this white guy is better than this black man, and blah, blah, blah. And she'll respond, this is Blackistan. Blackistan is controlled by black men, and black men do this. It's like, wait a minute, that wasn't the question. That was her. And I'm like, she was just regurgitating talking points instead of responding in consequence to the question. And that like, she was like, wait a minute, what I'm looking at this lady, what is she doing? And like, she did, like, if you watch his video with her, and he interviewed a lady, he had something titled Dennis Berlin interviewing divestment lady who whatever her name was, blah blah blah. And I just noticed, man, he'd ask her certain questions, and she would just respond with a talking point, not necessarily something that is relative to the question. Like, he asks a yes or no question, and you answering with a talking point that makes no sense. And I also heard that some people, this is coming from some of the women that were in the divestment community that left they said that there's certain people, if you disagree with them, they go off on you, and they try to make you look bad, or they say stuff. If you don't agree with everything they say, they go off. And so that lets me know these are some mentally unstable people that are highly insensitive, highly impulsive, and they're imbalanced, because that's not how responsible, stable-minded people interact. You know, stable-minded people can have arguments, but they're not going to go off on you because you have an argument. They can agree to respect, or even if they don't respect, they'll learn to move on and not let that monopolize that. Then they're just saying that they'll say something and disagree, and they'll just go off and just stop everything and just focus on just letting somebody verbally lashing at somebody because they disagree. And to me, I think the divestment sector is worse than the manosphere because the divestment, they're nasty towards children. I'm like, I've never heard some stuff about the little boys deserve to die and all. I'm like, what is this, man? Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, man. YouTube money is not that great to be doing stuff like that. I'm sorry. That's just irresponsible.
Yeah, I was on another person's panel. I don't want to give any free advertisement, but I broke down how a certain person who sounds like the Tasmanian devil is using Candyman as his moniker, saying that he's the leader of divestment or helping women divest. And Candyman in the movie hurt women, took the lives of women, and was and tried to delete a black male baby. So all this programming language, it's like it's almost like people are looking at these different groups as a religion. Because if you talk to someone who claims to be a divester, if you have a critique about divestment, she's talking about divesting like it's Jesus. Like, this is going to take us to the promised land.
Yeah, and like it's the answer to all your prayers.
And the enemy, as far as like religions, religion and the enemy is like, Satan. So for divestors, the enemy is the black man. So it's like this, he's the devil. So, and the same thing with all these other groups and cults, they give an ideology or a thought process that's supposed to be a savior, and then they counter impose that savior with an enemy, which would be either a black man, or if it's SYSBM or the manosphere, it's the black woman. And if it's even worse if she's a dark-skinned black woman. And there's a lot of people who they even pedestalize whiteness or proximity to whiteness, and it's all these different thought processes that are like a belief system. And that belief system is the reason why people are getting doxxed. People are losing their jobs. People are attacking subways. People are attacking people on panels. People are sending pictures to people's emails, and they're doing all this in the name of their religion or their cult. Like some people, and I'm not knocking religion, but some people will say, well, I'm Bible thumping you in the name of Jesus. And then they lay hands on someone. Well, they're doing the same thing with these online cults where they're saying that they have a picture of a black man supposedly being strange fruit on a tree with a black girl swinging on a swing on the same tree as the strange fruit.
Man. I'm glad you brought that up, man. That is despicable, man. I'm surprised that had not been taken out by YouTube.
Well, YouTube kind of will look the other way unless enough people complain, and enough people have not complained about that because that religion has a lot of support. YouTube sees the numbers, they see the super chats, they see the engagement, and they think this must be good because it's getting all this engagement, not understanding that it's a cult-like mindset. And all these people who are in this live stream chanting all these mantras, chanting all this programming language, and having a somewhat of a herd mentality, they are a church, and the enemy is a black man.
Right. It's despicable, man. And the thing about it, this is another thing, and I'm gonna go to Amiri.
Okay.
The thing that gets me, because I've only provided therapy for I think I've had 2 or 3 incels, and they all were white. I've never counseled a black incel before. They all were white, but they speak as if the cult itself in the normal aggregate is like the majority of black men's lives or whatever their cult. Like they think all black women are having this problem, all black men are having this problem. and it just does not translate. My thing is that I wanted to do a thing where I went to the mall and I interviewed people and asked them YouTube jargon and see what they would say. You know, like, do you know what a beta male simp is? Do you know what an alpha male, you know, stuff, you know, and see what the response is. But most people don't listen to this, or they don't, you know, even if those that listen to YouTube, they're not in these sectors, you know,
Right.
and this is like, I'm not gonna say counterculture, but it's like it's a niche sector that attracts certain people to be here. What's up, Amiri?
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm at work, so if y'all hear a little background noise, excuse me for that. But I was just tuning in. I just really got wind of your content, Darrell, and I gotta say I'm impressed. I like what you're talking about. I like the content you're putting out, and I like a lot of the stuff that you're saying, because you know that's what we really need. We really need more sensible, reasonable, practical content, especially like within this sector. Now, one thing I do want to say about what the other brother was just saying, you know, talking about YouTube, I think YouTube knows exactly what's going on. Like, you know, and I talk about this all the time, how, you know, the whistleblower came out and was talking about how these algorithms are constructed, man, to push this divisive, controversial, you know, content, you know, because that's the content that gets those types of numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and even like with the whole divested movement, I don't even think, like what we was talking about the other night, like with the manosphere and a lot of the rhetoric, and that can have real world consequences, because they know that type of rhetoric can lead to an anti-government sentiment. Like if you run around talking about the welfare state and incentivizing these women and stuff like that, they know that can create an unsafe environment for women, and it can lead to a anti-government sentiment. You see what I'm saying? So they're going to tamp down on that. I don't really think they view the divestment movement the same way, even with everything they're saying, because even like, check it. So like, you know, talking about like the vile rhetoric coming from these divestors talking about abort black male babies, but the law of the land for women is my body, my choice. You see what I'm saying? So with that, like that type of sentiment is in lockstep with the government's position. You see what I'm saying? So it is like if a woman says we're going to abort all black babies, and the law of the land is in the law of the land is for women is my body, my choice. It isn't that that's their choice. If they pregnant and they I'm not sure whatever the trimesters are, or how soon they can tell what the gender of the baby is going to be, and the woman is like, well, just simply because it's a male baby, I'm aborting it. Who's gonna stop her? You see what I'm saying? So like they're not going to look at even the rhetoric is vile, yeah, but they're not going to look at it the same way. And then on top of that, as you know, as black men and just men generally, especially like heterosexual men, cisgendered men, we're not a protected class. You see what I'm saying? So I don't see that type of rhetoric, you know, being stopped at all. I don't think YouTube would do anything about it. And then to a greater point with what you was talking about, like that is like a fringe. That's a fringe segment. You know, that whole divestment movement. You know what I'm saying? And like how you was talking about the mental health issues, and like it's the truth. You have a lot of people who in their personal lives, in reality, their lives aren't really going all that well. So they can come on these spaces, social media, YouTube, and pretend to be something they're not. Like like Taz call herself the GOAT and all this other. You know what I'm saying? That's like that's an ulterior. That's like an alter ego. But in real life, you ain't shit. You a bum.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
And man.
Yeah, and that's who they listen to, though. You see what I'm saying? Like that's who they'll give relevance to or give reverence to, simply because he's saying what they want him to say. But really what it is this is his, like he living off of this. Like the way people live from check to check, they live stream to stream, man. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden,
Yeah,
you
young
want to
man.
lead the divestment movement. Say
Yeah,
that
man.
again.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. The divestment community, man, and they coming out like, I mean, yeah, I've heard a lot of strange stuff, but they try to compare. They're a lot more hateful, man.
They
In
are.
my opinion, when it comes to them talking
Yeah.
about kids and shit like that, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my man, this stuff is that sect is disgusting. It really
Right.
is.
And you know
Like,
what? And you'll have sisters over there who in that sector saying a lot of that stuff they're saying, and have black sons that you see
right,
them, and that they're like the sole guardian. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's their single mother. They got a son or two, and so you could just imagine the type of treatment that those boys are getting at the hands of women like that. And a lot of times, like when that's your worldview and that's how you perceive black men, you'll mistreat your sons subconsciously, like
right.
not even thinking about it, because you harboring that deep in the recesses of your mind, man. And that's why I talked about, like, and like how you was talking about how people giving money and all that. This shit ain't nothing but church. It's virtual church. And the collection plate is the super chat, man. You know what I'm saying? The collection plate is the super chat. So, I mean, it's harmful. Like, and because you have this mass scramble from a lot of people to try and get whatever they can get out of it, and it will say anything in the interest of doing that. We're not looking at the long-term implications of it. Like my kids, like I hear my daughters using the term "pick me." They didn't get that from me. They didn't get it from my wife. So where they getting it from is they getting it is proliferating throughout the larger society and in our lexicon, in the terms we use. So it's affecting the youth. And so even like when you look at the whole gender war thing, what you're looking at, it's analogous to children. It's analogous to arguing in front of your children when you think about it.
Right.
And I think we all know how harmful and damaging that is for a husband and wife to be arguing in front of the children. But that's what we do. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're just doing it socially and culturally. And so in the long run, it's not going to be productive. It's counterproductive. But they don't care, because a lot of people just trying to make money.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
definitely
saying?
true. Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely dropping some gems, man. Like, it's just so much stuff, man. The stuff, it's like every other day, man. You're hearing somebody say some strange stuff, some stuff that don't make sense. I mean, it's just a lot of bad information out here in these spaces.
Right. And because I was watching when you was dissecting Taz debate with Jabari.
Oh
You're just talking
yeah.
about,
Oh man,
yeah, like
that
the
was
pseudo
classic.
scholarship. Yeah, the pseudo scholarship and stuff like that. And hold on one second.
Okay. So yeah, guys, he referencing Taz against Jabbar. That was a debacle. Like, he tried to debate a guy that is a expert in those areas, who actually went to an Ivy League school, and he thought that he and his ghetto dictionary and Google reports and all that stuff was going to match that. And he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed. He made no sense. And that was just the facts. And to this day, let him tell it. He felt like he exposed Marcus Garvey, some people knew about for years. Marcus Garvey is not
Hmm.
a new individual. And
Right.
I mean, as far as he's highly heralded, and I've never, I'm just hearing people just rub these people names in the mud and say they ain't this and that. I'm like, we gonna have
Right.
to
And
chill. Oh, go ahead.
you done live most of your life as a hoodlum. How you gonna talk about Marcus Garvey?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, stop it, man. You running around here with these alter ego and title like this WWE. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, like the stuff you were saying in that video, talking about the level of scholarship and stuff like that, and accuracy of information, and being able to analyze and synthesize your views and your viewpoints from your analysis. You don't have that going on, but these people call themselves intellectual or try and act like they're informed, when what you have is a lot of them they're just parrots, man. Like it's an echo chamber. You know what I mean? But in the final analysis of it, it's doing more harm than good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it has a very negative effect on particularly younger guys in their early 20s coming into this space. Man, easily, you know.
Exactly. Those are the people that they're influencing, and they're influencing them with the wrong type of message. Like that's always been my hold on one second. Yeah, that's always been my gripe with the manosphere talking points. It's not to say that those talking points don't have merit, but it's when we talk about these things, we're like a lot of individuals would do it in a hyperbolic way, and they'll use hyperbole, and they won't give a fair accounting and assessment of exactly what transpired. So you can actually alleviate it. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about anything with solutions or whatever. It for a lot of people, it's about using the most polarizing, divisive rhetoric, feeding red meat to the red pill fanatics just to make money.
Yeah, and you said the key word, just to make money.
Mm-hmm.
The things that people will do to create content or to find content. It's like
exactly.
I'm like, wow, like this means that much to you, but I get it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's unfortunate, but that's what people are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I was on a panel earlier, and I think eventually, I know, like especially coming like from the red pill perspective, eventually like that's going to run its course, because we just live in a society in the West that's not going to tolerate that type of rhetoric not against women. You know what I'm saying? So it's like those spots, those visible spots are already taken. Like you're not going to rise higher than Kevin Samuels coming like from that viewpoint. And so you live in a society where the mainstream of the society doesn't want to hear content going in on women. Like, see, it's only so many ways you could say what Kevin Samuels was saying. So like all these other little scraggler channels, and like, you have a lot of individuals who feel like they was going to ride Kevin Samuels' coattails to stardom or main. It's not going to happen, because the society is like we live in a society where you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like society only want to hear that a certain type of way. You see what I'm saying? So I think from that vantage point, that's going to run its course. Now with the whole divested thing and that type of rhetoric, I think they'll be able to get away with it for a little while, just because what I was talking about. They're women, they're black women. The society really don't care about black men anyway, so it just doesn't carry that same stigma. Even like when you saw that that whole fiasco a couple of years ago with Aaron Fountain, you know what I'm saying, and that kind of put him in the crosshairs. I know I've been getting wind of a lot of these content creators, like within this space, the manosphere talking points and that type of stuff. They're being, there's an investigation, CIA, FBI, they're being tracked. They're listening to the rhetoric, because and the reason why they're doing that is because they know that it can cause mass shooters, and it can create an unsafe environment for women. So that's why they're gonna look to tamp down. They're gonna look to tamp down on that type of rhetoric. Like you see it with like Alex Jones. Alex Jones got deplatformed. You see what I'm saying? Because all that's within that same wheelhouse, man. We talking about big government, the globalists, yada yada yada, the red pill, like all that's in the same wheelhouse, man. So that's why they deplatform them. So eventually it's gonna run its course. And yeah, and you either gonna have to moderate your talking points, or go to a lesser known streaming service, you know what I'm saying, a platform, but you're not gonna really be able to rock like that on on YouTube.
You there?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Okay,
yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just said, you're gonna like a lot of these content creators, they want to continue to make that kind of content they're gonna have to go to a lesser known platform because you're just not gonna be able to rock with that type of rhetoric on YouTube, man. They're not gonna tolerate that.
Okay. I agree with you, man. They're not going to tolerate that stuff, man. But it's like all these sectors, man, they hang ups, things they do, man. It's just, you got to dig who's good, who's bad, it's just so many things. So for me, I just try to stick with the content I'm doing because, man, like I said, I don't go on these panels as much anymore. All of that stuff, man, it's just a lot of negative heat that comes from that, so just do my thing, stay in my lane. I can precisely think about a panel I want to go on, but it's just so much negativity.
Right. Yeah, that's why I keep my distance too, because I don't have time to be sitting there screaming and hollering and you know what I mean, and cussing and getting into it, and it's threats being live back and forth, man. I don't have time for it, man. That's why I stay away from from the
It
panels
could
and
be
stuff like
draining.
that. Yeah. Yeah, they don't even know how to have dialogue and rigorous debate and being able to disagree without being disagreeable. They don't know how to do that.
Right. I feel you, man. So did you catch the earlier part when we talked about Mr. Cojamilk and
No,
her
I didn't catch that.
situation?
Now, I came in at the tail end. I was trying to see what y'all was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, so we talked about her and the different things and misrepresentation of information. People want to argue with me about stuff that I do for a living, but all of a sudden expert, I just, it's just part of it, man. So it's all good. So, but any
Yeah.
last words, brothers? I'm about to go ahead and wrap this baby up.
Yeah. No, just keep doing what you're doing. You got a new subscriber in me. Like I said, I'm been impressed with your content, and I enjoy it. So just keep rocking.
Okay. Well, brother, I'm about to go ahead and lay this one down, man. Any last words?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, guys. But I'm about to go ahead and get out of here, man. Appreciate y'all for coming in. Give a shout out to Conscious Energy. I see the Umar sector in here. Red Pill Finance. My Queen Gynecology Takeover. Got a Mary up in this, brother. Mary be dropping, man. You ever catch a Mary on Chaos Rain channel? He be dropping a lot of knowledge. Definitely. I see Black YouTube News with Zab. Jalen in the house. Miss China White came through and so forth. So, guys, I'm getting ready to go ahead and call it a night. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate you all for coming to the Manosphere. Peace.